May 11th. So if you love baseball, you'll have some baseball to watch just about every day here. Now, originally I thought of doing a big baseball preview, a special guest here on this episode. However, with baseball being a 162 game season, nobody really cares after the first opening week or two until we get to the All-Star break, and then it comes back in. So I'm thinking on an All-Star break for baseball, I'll get that baseball special guest in here, and we'll do a midway point evaluation and predictions once we get there. But for tonight's baseball season preview extravaganza, you're stuck with just me. So you'll have to just make the most of it. But before we get into our complete team-by-team season preview here, where you get all my picks for the season, we'll go over some current player and team news quick. Twins starting pitcher Ervin Santana has been suspended for 80 games for PED usage, which is just great for the Twins. Totally not going to hurt us at all. We had such a rockin' starting pitching rotation before this that, we won't be hurting anyways. Just, kick a team while they're down. Or the Twins stink, for the record. If you haven't watched the first two games, if you haven't watched the last 4 seasons, the Twins stink. They might not score a run until the All-Star break. It's that bad. I don't think in the first 2 games they got a runner past second base. That's how bad it is. The outfield is worthless. We got no offense. We got no pitching other than Hughes and Perkins. And even Hughes against a stacked lineup just, isn't enough. But so to lose the starting second pitcher on our rotation for 80 games to start the season when he was a question mark of a 10 to 15 win guy at best anyway, not what the Twins needed. It bumps Nolasco up to our number 2 starter, which most minor league teams wouldn't be successful with Nolasco as the number 2 starting pitcher in their rotation. So don't expect the Twins to compete at all anytime for this year unless you consider competing for the number 1 pick in the upcoming draft being competitive. Then yes, the Twins will be very competitive all season. Now, I did want to go over a couple of the new rule changes for Major League Baseball. Can't believe those words are coming out of anyone's mouth. Kudos, by the way, to Major League Baseball for at least attempting to change and address issues and improve the state of the game. Whether the rules that they've implemented here now have any effect, whether it be positive or negative, remains to be seen. But at last, they are finally at least trying to do something. So that's the main thing, is that they realize things need to change. It needs to become more entertaining, and they're finally willing to try and make that happen. Now, some of the rule changes here primarily are new for this season are that batters need to keep 1 foot in the batter's box at all times, with a few specific exceptions or whatever, but for the most part they need to keep 1 foot in the batter's box at all times. There is a 30-second pitch clock. There's a clock pretty much for everything. Switchovers in between innings, warm-up pitches, you name it. There's a clock for just about everything. Now, important thing to note on all these clock stuff is it will be monitored by someone from Major League Baseball. However, there will be no in-game enforcement of any clock violations whatsoever. Those will be handed down through the league via fines or warnings or whatnot. There will be no in-game consequences if you go over the pitch clock or any other clock that they've implemented now into the game. And basically a way to think of it is anytime there's no actual action or gameplay, there is a specific amount of time allotted for that. But like I said, that's only enforced via fines, post-game, stuff like that. So, nothing that I don't think is gonna stand out. But it might make a difference. It might speed things up. It might make it more entertaining. I don't know. And then also we got some tweaks to the replay, how they handle replay in Major League Baseball. Managers can now call for a replay from the dugout. They don't have to go all the way out to the home ump. You get 1 challenge per game. However, every time you use a challenge and you win, you get to keep the challenge. So you keep the challenge until you lose. I like that. NFL should maybe look into incorporating a version of that. Now, once we get to the playoffs, however, the coaches get 2 challenges per game, not just 1. And 2 other tidbits on the replays. Base touching is now reviewable. So to see if a guy left early on a tag up or something like that, that is now reviewable, touching a base. And also, if there is a home plate collision rule violation that is in question, and it occurs in the 7th inning or later, and a team does not have any more challenges, the umpire can issue the replay and the challenge for that. So there you go. That's all the rules changes that I got for this year written down. But yeah, let's get to the previews and the picks. Let's start out in my home team's division, the AL Central. We'll just go AL to NL. And we'll start off with the Central because I am a Minnesotan, yeah, and I cheer for the Twins, unfortunately, for me. But anyway, the AL Central as a division is almost unquestionably, by far, the strongest, best, most impressive division in all of baseball. When you've got the defending runners-up, runner-ups, that's funny, runners-up in the World Series, that being the Kansas City Royals. That's right, the Kansas City Royals won the American League last year and were 1 win away from being world champions. But when you've got the championship runner-up penciled in as 4th out of 5th best in your division, and they didn't really lose a whole lot or change very much. I mean, wow. That should tell you or give you a pretty good idea of just how strong this division is expected to be. The Twins are unquestionably owning sole residency of the basement in that division for the entire season. Like I said, I have the Royals just above the Twins in 4th. And then this is where it gets tricky on a lot of people, depending on who you talk to. But I have the Tigers winning the division, followed by the Indians in 2nd, and then the White Sox in 3rd. Now, a lot of people are picking the White Sox. A lot of people are picking the Indians. I will go as far to say that all 3 of those teams, Tigers, Indians, and White Sox, all 3 of those teams will be representing the Central in the playoffs. You will have both wild cards coming from the AL Central. Sorry, Angels fans, A's fans, everyone in the East. Sorry. But they're just too good. Your only chance is that they play each other so much. They go back and forth a lot, and none of them end up with the wins in their record to show for just exactly how good they are. But so, AL Central, like I said, Tigers winning it, my pick. Indians in 2nd place, White Sox in 3rd place. Those could switch around. Both of those teams will be the wild card in the playoffs. Then you got the Royals in the hunt, and the Twins rocking the basement. Over in the AL West, I like the Mariners, and most everybody likes the Mariners. They got arguably the best, definitely one of the best starting pitchers in the American League in King Felix Hernandez. The rest of their pitching rotation is very strong as well. They've brought lots of new sticks in the offseason and over the last year or two. Robinson Cano, amongst others, where they've got an offense to go with their pitching. And it looks like this could finally be the Seattle Mariners' year. I don't think they've ever been to the World Series, let alone ever won one. And it's very, very possible this year, should their key players be able to stay healthy for the majority of the season, and then especially at the end, come crunch time, Mariners could do it. Their toughest competition in their division will almost surely be the Anaheim Angels, with Mike Trout, the MVP on that team. You always got to give them a little bit of consideration, plus with their giant payroll. They pay people to play there. But, like I said, they could be a dark horse to win the division. Maybe a dark horse as a wild card. But it definitely looks like the Mariners division. Also possibly in the hunt would be the A's. However, they've got a lot of new faces on their roster. Not quite the same division contending team we've seen over the last couple of years, so we'll just have to wait and see on them. They could be really good. They might not gel at all. Then you got the Astros, who are really young, but with potential. And then the Rangers, who just can't ever get a break. Their studs are always getting injured, especially in their starting pitching. And I got the Rangers holding the bottom down in the AL West. So like I said, AL West, my picks: Mariners first, Angels in second, just missing out on a wild card spot, A's in third, Astros, and then the Rangers bringing up the basement. Now the AL East, arguably the most competitive, intriguing, up for grabs division in all of baseball. It's very mediocre. A lot of potential, and certain moves could be made that make help elevate a team. Like say a Red Sox, for example, if they made a move that acquired them a starting pitcher at some point in the season, that could change our outlook on them. But we'll just get right to it. I like the Blue Jays to win that division. I think they got by far the best, most consistent offense. The heart of that lineup is scary, scary good, especially with Batista and Encarnacion. But so that's my pick, and their pitching's decent from what I hear. So I'm picking Blue Jays to win the AL East, followed by the Red Sox, who are young, actually, or younger than they usually are. I should say they still got some old veterans, but they got some young talent on their team too. They got some decent offense, but they need some better pitching. So I got them in second. Orioles possibly getting in second, but as of right now, I got them in third. They lost some big bats in the off season. Got the Yankees coming in fourth, possibly under 500, which would be awesome. Yes, of course I hate the Yankees. You should have been able to guess that I hate the Yankees. I hate the Yankees. I hate the Cowboys. I hate all those spoiled frickin' teams that win tons of championships and are super ungrateful and cry the second that they lose in the second round of the playoffs for the third year in a row, and we haven't won a championship in 5 years. This is so bad. I hate all those freaking teams. Give me a break. I'm from Minnesota. Give me one title every 10 years, and I'm ecstatic in any sport. But the Yankees do have general concerns and question marks. They're getting very old. Their pitching is questionable. Sabathia is going to have to be a stud, and I don't know that that's going to happen at this point in his career. And then the Rays definitely in last place in the East. They have no offense. They lost their manager. That is a franchise in rebuilding mode. All right, well, let's move to the NL quick, and then we got to wrap up the baseball meet. All right, so all three divisions in the National League are fairly strong for the most part. I would say the East would be the weakest division overall, but it is fairly top strong. My pick to win the National League East is the Nationals. They've got incredible pitching with Strasburger and newly signed Max Scherzer, amongst others. And until they fall apart or have injury issues, I just don't see how anyone can not pick them as the best team in that division. However, the Miami Marlins have a ton of young talent and are going to make noise and be a threat this year. That's right, the Miami Marlins are going to be a threat, could possibly make it all the way to the World Series. Stanton is as good of a young player, as good of any player in the league as there is. So he's another one to watch. I actually have them as one of my two wild cards for the National League East, that being the Marlins, like I said. The Mets could possibly be in the hunt or in the mix in the East for a wild card spot. Maybe they did have pitcher Matt Harvey return, which is a really big deal for them, and they did have some good bats last year as well. Braves on the downside. Phillies extremely old, not very good, losing to college teams in the preseason. So I got the Phillies in last place in that division, Braves just above them, Mets in the middle, and then the Marlins in second, Nationals winning that division. Over to the Central, a very strong division. I don't see how anybody can not like the Cardinals until the Cardinals prove otherwise. You almost always got to pick the Cardinals. That's just the type of franchise they are. They don't have any glaring weaknesses. They're always consistent. They're a well-run organization, and they know how to get to the postseason and how to make a run in the postseason. Like their starting pitching, especially Adam Wainwright. So, again, Cardinals are my pick for the NL Central. Right behind them in the mix, just missing out on a wild card spot, I believe, will be the Pittsburgh Pirates. They got a great outfield. They're really young. We'll see if their pitching can be as good as it was last year. And if you believe in superstition, you might want to go with the Cubs. After all, in the movie Back to the Future, this is the year that the Cubs defeat Miami in the championship and win the World Series. Now, yes, I know Miami doesn't play in the AL, that they're in the same league, but keep in mind there wasn't